Good afternoon. This is Adam Small with the Agent Sauce Real Estate Marketing Podcast. And with me is Doug Carr of DK New Media.
Hey,
How you doing today, Doug?
today's a good day.
Is it?
Yes.
It's Friday. It's always a good day.
It is Friday.
Hey, so listen, today I was thinking that we could talk about social media marketing for real estate agents.
Ooh, good topic today.
It's a big topic. It's been up for a long time. You know, for a few years now, it's been a high priority topic for real estate agents because they want to know how to get into it, what to do, what to post, and that sort of thing. And on top of that, you know, the social media marketing, social media in general has changed a lot over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
When it first came out, you know, Facebook, early 2000s, and then Twitter, those are really kind of the big boys and the only ones out there. But over the last, 5-6 years or so, we've had a big explosion in additional social media platforms, and some of them have come and gone, and others are still here, and some are big, and some are very, very niche and don't have a whole lot of reach, but are very specific. So, I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of do a broad overview of, what social media marketing is, how to get involved in it, and not necessarily platform specific, although talking about certain platforms is never a bad idea,
right?
But just an overview, a generalization, as opposed to for this platform do this and for that platform do that. So it gives an agent idea, and it gives an agent an idea of what type of thing they should be looking at instead of exactly what to do, right?
I like that.
Because I think one of the things that agents really get caught up on is, oh, well, I got to do this on Facebook, and I've got to do this on Twitter, and I've got to do this on Snapchat, and I got to do this on Instagram, and by the time you're done with it, they're pulling their hair out because there are 50 different platforms, and they don't know what to do on any one of them.
And worse.
So
after a few weeks, they don't see any results, so they're wondering why they're doing it in the first place.
Right, they're putting a ton of effort into it and all that, and one of the things I tell people in general is, start with one, right? Get it good, get it rolling, make sure you're effective at it, and then work on incorporating the others and learning the nuances of each platform after
like
that. So, anyhow, your thoughts?
Well, it's a good topic because I think two things. One is it's very buzzy, right? I mean, you have
always a buzz term.
Yeah, you always have everybody in the industry speaking about why aren't you on social media? What are you doing on social media? And then I think the second part of that is that it's been really frustrating to a lot of companies, and not just real estate agents, but even regular companies trying to figure out, wow, I am spending a lot of time here, and I'm really not sure.
Where's my return?
Yeah,
Where's my reward for all of this effort? Because it can be a tremendous amount of effort. And, some companies hire not only, a person to do it, but entire teams to focus solely on that. Of course, it depends on the size of the company, but still.
Well, and I think the reality of it is that some companies are now figuring out that there isn't a good ROI there. And they are going back to some other, basically investing time and effort in other areas. Now, the thing is, you can't abandon social media,
right?
And we'll talk about why.
And let's talk about for a moment there too. There isn't a good ROI, and I think that probably needs some qualification, because what I think you mean is a financial ROI, a concrete financial ROI, whereas there's probably, always going to be, if you're doing it well, there's always going to be some sort of reputation brand ROI.
Yeah, I when I talk about it, I'm really talking that let's say as part of your goal to grow your network.
Right.
Let's say that you skip going to events in town, and you skip sponsoring things out in town.
Okay.
And all you do is sit there and follow people on Twitter and Facebook and everything else. And so, regionally you might know 100 people, and then through Facebook and Twitter, maybe you up that where 1,000 people.
Okay.
Expecting to get a better ROI on the people that you're networked with online versus those people that you have met offline and in person is probably not going to happen.
Right.
And that's what I mean is that a lot of people in the social media marketing industry made it out like this was almost a a replacement or the new way of networking.
This is how you're going to make all your money.
Yeah, and the reality is that a lot of marketers and real estate agents and every, we have home service providers, we have B2C companies, B2B companies are finding out that social media is part of the overall solution in their marketing efforts, but they're still doing those traditional things that worked really well for them.
Right.
And so, we always talk about, social media, and we'll talk about, kind of 4 different ways to use it in this podcast. But we use social media to, obviously build our networks and grow and things like that. But we're always trying to get people back to the handshake, back to the event, back to the where we can meet them in person.
Exactly, because the whole point is truly to get in front of them and have the opportunity to present, to present your business in a way that makes you money, right? That has an actual financial return. It's kind of funny because that's one of the things. You said that. It's kind of shifted from everybody trying to focus everything into social, getting back to some of the more, for lack of a better term, old school or
proven,
proven techniques. And that's I think behind one of the recent trends that we've seen in the last year or two with real estate agents is the drive back to print. Right? For a while there, it looked like a lot of real estate agents were just going to drop print altogether. It's expensive and it's hard to measure the ROI and, who's looking at it as opposed to throwing it into the circular file, and that sort of thing. But in just the last couple of years, I've really seen an uptick of agents wanting to get back to print and, throwing more money into print because it is something that works.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ultimately, right. Everybody's goal from a marketing standpoint is to capture people's attention, build their awareness, drive them through to a conversion.
Right.
And so with digital, with, email and online and social media, there's so much noise and competition out there. With traditional, so many people abandon print that now when you go to, today I checked my mail and I had no ads in my business mail.
I checked our mail today too. And again, no ads.
And so the thing is if I had one ad in there,
it would have gotten 100% of your time.
Exactly. And whereas on email, I think I'm sitting at about 300 unread emails right now, And
so about 1/3% of your time, right?
yeah. And so, and the thing is as that number gets higher, I just keep, delete, unsubscribe, unsubscribe because it's so unmanageable. And so, and social media is that thing too. I mean, anybody listening has found that, hey, I'm going to go check Facebook for a second. 2 hours later.
Exactly. So then the reality of it is that social media does in fact have a place in your marketing efforts. So, some of those places are probably listening, right?
Listening is absolutely the first one. And that's, just monitoring for your own brand, for your own name, that people, when they call out to you, that you respond in a timely manner to them and try to help them.
So when, like on Twitter, they'll do a hashtag. So if they do a hashtag with your brand on there, having something that kind of alerts you to that so that you can then respond to it, right?
Yeah. Well, social media monitoring services, if you have a unique name, a lot of those services, you can set your name and even your region. If anybody says your name in this region, send me an email. Google Alerts is for anybody listening, google.com/alerts. Google Alerts doesn't have the full pipe of Twitter and Facebook.
Right.
But, it's one way of, if someone mentions you get alerted.
Exactly.
So listening, and it's become an expectation by consumers, right?
Right.
Is if I mention your company online, I really want you to come help me.
Right. You're what you're doing is you're really calling for help, right? You see it all the time, and with people, whether it be Twitter or Facebook or whatever, they post something about the company. Hey, I'm having trouble with this, or hey, what are you going to do about this? And the companies respond to that. Hopefully they respond. If they don't respond, then
and then there's more tactical approaches like Google My Business, ratings and reviews that they are going to impact your business if you don't respond, in a good manner. So you've just got to be listening so that you understand what your reputation is online and you manage that reputation.
Right. So, and so part of that listening, kind of the next piece of that is you're learning through that, right? Yep. So that's another avenue of social media for real estate agents, right?
Yeah, I mean, half of all business owners have found that have found customers on Facebook, which is really, an incredible number. But as and this isn't, I don't go to Facebook and search real estate agents. This is, I go to Facebook and I say, hey, anybody in my network know a really good real estate agent around town?
Right.
And I get 12 responses of people that love their real estate agent. Well, I want to make sure that I have a consistent appearance on Facebook and everything else, so that when someone tags me in that post, someone clicks through to my page, they just see a great person that's updating and everything else. And so
they don't see a post from 3 years ago and that's it.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. And then vice versa, for real estate agents and companies, learning from Facebook is an incredible experience. And that we were talking to Dell. So there's a huge company, obviously.
Right.
And they do these multi-million-dollar use cases, where they test and they go get a focus group and they measure the response of the focus group and everything else. Well, they've abandoned all of that.
Really?
And now they just listen on Facebook and Twitter. And so the thing is on Facebook and Twitter, you guys can learn about your business. You can basically say, you can put a question out there and say, hey, for anybody with kids graduating out there in the next 2 weeks or in this year from college, I'm curious, are any of those looking to buy a home? And you'll get responses back like, heck no, or actually yeah, and
right.
and so there's an opportunity to push questions out there to your audience to basically learn a little bit more about them, and then you can write about what's important and use that information to improve your experience, online with them.
Cool. So what else?
Well, the next one is engagement, which is improving that experience. And so engagement is one of those things that I think you're talking to a guy that just gets in trouble on Facebook all the time.
Yes, I know.
But I do think that.
Let's back up for a second. Let's define engagement. Is engagement just responding to somebody, or is it putting stuff out there that makes people want to respond to you?
Exactly. So when we're talking about engagement, we're talking about interactions with people that make them want to do business with you.
Right.
And so just like, if you were to enter, I always tell the story, if you were to go to a networking event in town, and as soon as you walked in, you said, here's my business card. Here's what I do. I'm a great real estate agent. I've closed 46 houses this year. Here's my phone number, 888. People would go, oh my God, get that jerk out of here.
That must be what I'm doing wrong.
And the same thing goes online.
Right.
If you're that person online that just goes, I closed another house today, or
and that's all you're putting out there.
And that's all you're putting out there. There's nothing engaging about that.
There's no real value to it.
Yeah.
Right?
Whereas let's say you share a different story. You share a story about, I was fascinated with one lady that she stages houses.
Okay.
So I met someone else who's a real estate agent that will not sell a house unless you use a staging company.
Okay.
Which is pretty incredible. Now, for anybody listening, that's, I know real estate agents know what it is, but anybody else listening, they're going to rip out all your furniture and put in their own furniture, pictures, lights, everything else to make the house appear totally different. And the whole idea behind it is if you have old oak furniture from grandma and everything else, the house doesn't look as inviting as if you had really expensive, beautiful furniture.
Well, it's
around.
really an attempt to allow somebody to walk in and say, "Oh, I could live here."
Exactly.
Is what it really comes down
I
to.
can picture this as the place that I would
Right,
want
because
to
what
live.
happens when you walk into a home that you're looking to buy is that if it's really personalized
Yeah.
to the seller, then it's hard to say this could be my home.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. And so there's a great topic, right? And it's, hey, why you might want to go through the expense of staging your home when you sell, and the real estate agent could go into detail about, what kind of things they replace when they come in, and then why there's a return on investment on staging, and why, she's able to close houses faster and for more money when she stages houses. And
Right.
so that's an engaging conversation to have on social media.
Right. Well, and it's funny because it kind of goes back to a topic that we've talked about a number of times, in that it's all about providing something of value,
Yeah.
right? We talked about that on our email podcast.
Yep.
When you're emailing people, make sure that you're providing something of value in those emails.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes for social media. Putting out there that, I sold another house. This is my 48th one this year. Yeah, that's all fine and dandy. But if that's all you're doing, there's no value in seeing that, because it's the same post, is just a different number every time, right?
Right.
Whereas,
And here's the thing is people think, well, that's a lot of work. I got to think of 100 things to write. Well, no, actually you don't. If you subscribe to, and I'm sure real estate agents do, they subscribe to, periodicals, they subscribe to newsletters, they subscribe to industry stuff.
right.
All they got to do is go share that. They could say something like, I saw something with the housing market here regionally is way
Right.
up.
Right.
Well, that's a great news story to share with everybody online, that, hey, it's a seller season right now,
Exactly.
And so the real estate agent didn't have to do any work. All they had to do was go out and put it out there to their audience.
Share that person's link, right?
Yeah.
So, and that kind of gets into another thing that when you're doing your social media marketing, you need to be really careful of when you're putting something out there. If you're sharing links, you're all fine, generally speaking, because all you're doing is linking back to somebody else's content and you're making a comment on it.
Right.
Right. I have in the past been asked about, well, can't I just copy that and put it on my page, or, send it as an email? Well, no, you can't.
Yeah.
The issue with it is a matter of ownership and copyright.
Yeah.
And
it's icky.
It is icky. But in this case, I think it's just a matter of not understanding.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And even when they say, well, what about with attribution at the bottom? Well, copying the whole thing, even with attribution, is still a copyright infringement.
It is, actually, yeah.
So it's not really fair use.
Fair use says you can use like a portion of it
for
like a
commentary,
quote
whatever,
or,
right?
a couple
But
sentences.
the entire article is not fair use.
Yeah, you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah, so...
and not only that, it's just that if I was a consumer and I read that article, let's say on Wall Street Journal, and then all of a sudden I see it pasted in your newsletter with no attribution,
right.
I'm just going to go, ew, this
Right.
person is just stealing content and
Right.
spitting it out.
And that's not the intent.
That's not a person that I want to work with.
Right, and that's not the intent, but that's kind of the way it comes across.
Yeah.
So when you're doing that, share the link and send them back to the other person's page. It doesn't hurt you any at all. Matter of fact, it helps you because you seem like you're knowledgeable and finding good, interesting content. And just the fact that it goes to somebody else's page doesn't mean they're going to get the business. It's probably going to be you because you're the one establishing authority. And
Perfect.
And,
You said that. Perfect. Yeah. That's a
what's
lot
the other
of,
one they're establishing?
well, a lot of it, I love that because you're absolutely right. A lot of people say, well, yeah, but if I'm promoting somebody else's content, no, what you're doing is providing value to your audience, and so even if I would say this, even if it's a competitor in town, if it's another real estate agent and they released some incredible article, you are not going to lose your client by saying, well, go read this article that Jane wrote. It's amazing and it really walks through the process that we use or whatever.
Right.
That's not your consumer now says, wow, that's really awesome. She provided me just exactly
You're the
information that I
resource
needed."
now,
Yeah.
so you're still the knowledgeable resource.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen to be yours. It's just like going to the internet and searching for the answer online, right?
Exactly.
The fact of the matter is that you are still the resource. So
Yep.
it really and truly is a great way to interact on social media.
Yep.
So
And then the last one
last one.
is promotion. I think there's two sides to this. There's, of course, just promoting your content online. And I think you guys do a good job of this, that you have automated, some material that automatically gets published online.
Right.
And that's a great idea. It saves a ton of time. People often respond to it and maybe catch you off guard, go,
Yeah.
"Oh, I forgot that I even published that,"
Yeah, it happens.
but it's this great thing to keep active in front of people. And with tools today, you can schedule posts and you can schedule updates and you can do all kinds of crazy stuff
Right.
that can get you ahead of that. So there's the promotion side of just using social media to promote stuff that you're doing. I don't care whether it's philanthropy, whether it's going out with your family for dinner, because that shows a human side to your business
Right.
and everything. Whatever it is, sharing that online, that is a great way to promote what kind of person you are, what kind of business you run, all of those things. Because consumers and businesses, again, are making more and more decisions about who they're working with rather than what they're buying. And so who they're working with is becoming more important, and social media provides you a way to show who you are. So there's that side, and then there's obviously the paid side. There's paid promotion.
Right.
And things like that, I would say that, if you're, let's say you're sponsoring a regional, I don't know, fundraiser at the local fire station.
Right.
Well, why not run a Facebook ad, to people in your region to let them know that you're going to be there and, supporting that. And so paid is another one of those ways to, again, extend your network and bring them back to you.
Exactly. Yeah, one of the things that we do with paid is whenever we do a blog post, which we generally tend to hope is of good value, right? What we do is we actually boost the blog post itself.
Nice.
So we're putting the content out on Facebook and Twitter, to our audiences in general, right? And then on top of that, we're boosting it so that it reaches other people that aren't necessarily following our page or seeing it, or a friend of a friend that sees the interaction with it. So it's kind of a hybrid of, purely promoting on your page, promoting content, as well as the ad. So you're promoting a post as opposed to just, an ad.
Well, the great thing about that too that you're doing is you're not sitting there trying to hard sell and making people make a purchase.
Right.
We always talk to people about when people are going into social media. When I go on Twitter or I go on Facebook, I don't go, we were talking earlier that I'm trying to find some funky door lock. You know, I don't go to Facebook to go look for door locks.
Right.
But I might go on Facebook and say, you know what, anybody with, hanging barn doors, have you ever found a key lock scenario that really works well on there?
Mm-hmm.
And then, people will start that conversation and everything else. And then the other side of it is that if I looked for door locks, now Facebook ads are going to be showing me door locks.
Right.
The reason why I'm saying that is that, let's say you had done an article on staging, and I was talking about staging online, and I went and visited a couple staging sites. Your ad would most likely be shown to me
when I boosted the post, right?
When you boosted the post. So ads are contextual in nature in Facebook, that what they're trying to do is match your interest and your recent activity with content that people are boosting out there. Now, the great thing about that, again, is you weren't trying to hard sell them.
Right.
You were just trying to expose and provide value to them.
Right.
And so I love that boosted post scenario because it's not, I got an open house on Tuesday, come to it.
Right.
Instead, it's, hey, I wrote a fantastic article about running a successful open house, and read that checklist here.
Exactly. So it's yet another way of providing that value, that something of value, while establishing your authority at the same time. And it's not even the hard sell. because these are people that are reaching it that are, contextually targeted by the fact that they were searching for, the staging article, that sort of thing. And it's not a sell at all. It's just, hey, here's my knowledge. Let me help you.
Yeah.
And if you want to come talk to me about it afterwards, then that's great. If it's enough to convince you to say, hey, I really need to talk to this person because I've got to stage this house,
And I want to make a point here too for anybody listening. We're talking about social media here.
Right.
So like when I talked about like the open house, if I was on Google, I might want to promote there's an open house at this time and date and everything else.
Right.
But if I'm on Facebook, I might, it might be,
it's a softer sell. It's a more valuable thing,
Right.
So, and so I'm going to ask you, since you said it, right? How would I go to Google and say, hey, here's my open house? I'd have to create a blog post and a page and all that stuff.
Well, or paid ads.
Or a paid
right?
Google ad, right.
That's what I meant was, whether it's, I didn't want people to say, well, wow, I wouldn't advertise an open house. Well, sure you would.
Yeah, exactly.
But you want to market an open house to people that are searching for an open house.
Right. So in the context of what we're talking about here today, it's really about social media marketing for real estate agents as opposed to the other marketing channels out there like Google Ads or...
There's tons of different ways to promote stuff online. We're just talking specifically with social media.
Right. So any final thoughts on social media marketing, Doug?
Well, just that, I think the hard problem that marketers and real estate agents have right now is that consumers and businesses both expect you to be on social media. So it's not about whether social media works or doesn't work. It's about whether or not your audience expects you to be there or doesn't expect you to be there. The problem that all of us have today is that we have to be there. That's the expectation from a business standpoint. And if you're not there, your competitors will be there. And so, yes, it's tough. It's more time in the day. It's all of these things. And you're going to question whether it's worthwhile or not. But over time, you get really good. You get kind of a knack. You fall into a rhythm. You fall into a rhythm. And all of a sudden you go, wow, and for real estate agents, honestly, right? If you sold one house off of a connection on Facebook, that might have paid for that time for the entire year. Right,
exactly.
So that's the way I would look at it.
Right. So, cool. Well, and just to kind of recap, the things that you need to look at when you're doing social media marketing is listening, learning, engaging, and promoting. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact us at agentsauce.com, info@agentsauce.com. Thanks for joining us today, and thanks, Doug, for joining us today. You guys have a good day.